right, so we back, episode 2. Welcome back. We appreciate it. Hope y'all enjoyed episode 1. We're gonna keep it going. Keezy, what it do? How you living, bro?
Good, man. I'm good. Let's just get to talking, man. Let's get to talking.
But wait, man,
One of the best.
it's MLK Day, it's Inauguration Day. It's a lot going on, you know what I'm saying?
A lot going on.
You can't just bypass this. But outside of that, though, how was the weekend, man? My weekend
was terrible. My weekend was absolutely terrible. I'm going to tell you why. As soon as we start talking about sports, speaking of the inauguration, I don't know if you heard the speech or not, but that was one of the most chilling speeches I've ever heard from a president. It sounded like something off of a movie, the way he was talking. I don't know if you heard it or not, but the way he was talking and what he was saying, it sounded like something off of a movie. It made you be like, wow, like things are about to happen in America. And they already started happening in America.
Yeah.
So, MLK Day, all good.
Yeah.
How about you?
So, yeah, my weekend, you know what I'm saying? A lot happened this weekend. I mean, it started off, I think I touched on it last episode, but went to DC, you know what I'm saying, and went to the EYL event.
Okay, how was that? You know, you deserve to be rich.
Deserve to be rich. So I'm confident, you know, you'll touch 50,000, 100,000 from this show. That's how hard we'll work. You know what I'm saying? And the takeaway for me from that event was, what do we do when we touch that first 50, that first 100,000, that 1 million, right? You know, being first generation, hopefully wealthy, you know, individuals, being the CEO of our families. How do we prepare ourselves for that first 50,000, that first 100,000, that first 1 million? So they provide a blueprint. It was good being in the atmosphere. Super good time being in DC. Hella cold. It was cold. Right? I'm not going to lie.
Snowing?
Not at the moment, but you can see the remnants of the snow for sure. One of my friends from Jacksonville came through with his family. We went to Charlotte, the Great Wolf Lodge. It was a great atmosphere, man. It was a fun trip. I had never been to Charlotte before. We didn't explore as much, but we did go downtown to eat at a spot called Sea Level. Definitely was a great spot. Good food. And basically the hotel was connected to a water park. So I hadn't been to a water park in a minute.
Was it Carol?
What?
Was it Carol Winds?
Great Wolf Lodge.
Oh, that's what it's called, the Great Wolf Lodge at the water park called
Great Wolf Lodge.
What Carol Winds that? You been there? I know it's somewhere in the Carolinas, I think.
I believe it's in Charlotte as well. I think it's more like the Universal type of theme park, roller coasters and stuff. This was just specifically water park. So that was dope. And the reason we went there, my son, he turned 3. So on year.
Boy getting big. He getting big. He getting stout too. I saw like he getting stocky. Like for real.
Hey, he lift weights. He do push-ups. He do his stretching. Yeah, he's on it, man. I'm gonna be interested to see how he grows up. But we just built his bed, so he's sleeping in his first full size bed right now. So
good, great.
Life is wild, but yeah, it was a good weekend, man. And you know, we'll see what happens as we turn into this week. A lot of good things. You know, I felt prophetic. You know, thinking about some of my predictions and takes. So I look forward to just making you look crazy, and we can get into it. So make sure to like us, follow us, please, subscribe. You know, help us as we bring this content. So let's get into it, man. This weekend, we had a lot of football, you know, divisional football, divisional round. We have 4 great games. Which one you want to start with? Which game you want to start?
Let's get straight into your propheticness.
All right.
Ravens, Bills. Who did you pick?
So when we think about Ravens versus the Bills, I picked Lamar, but that was just mainly for hope. I just hope.
Prophecy number one.
No, that was.
I'll let you go first.
That wasn't actually my prophecy. My prophecy was Lamar wasn't going to win the championship. That was my prophecy, right?
You didn't even get that. Was you picking to win this game? Let's not hedge our bets. Let's just keep it 100. You picked the Ravens.
Yeah, and I'm saying I picked them literally off of just wanting and hoping Lamar to win, right? Like my whole thing about Lamar Jackson is he does too much. I've told you this throughout the entire season, right? I believe the best version of Lamar, in order for the Ravens to win, is actually for him to do less, right? So I don't want to see the miraculous plays. I don't want to see put everything on his shoulders and carry the team. I don't want to see him holding on to the ball as far as standing in the pocket or not scrambling, getting out of bounds or getting down, just getting the first down, because that's been a disaster for a recipe for disaster over the past several years, right? So you have an individual who's MVP worthy, clearly, right? 2, 3, 4, 5 times in a row, he can win this award simply because he is an amazing individual. He can run, he can pass, he can dissect the defense, right? When you play a Lamar Jackson, you probably are fearful when you are a defensive coordinator trying to game plan for someone who's pretty much unstoppable, except when he stops himself. I heard this quote, I don't remember who said it, but it was in reference. Oh, Cam Newton. He was saying, hey, when I played with the Patriots, Bill Belichick, before they went out, used to say, the only way we can win is if we don't beat ourselves, right? Something to that degree, right? So just the concept of don't lose the game yourself if you really want to have a chance to win. And what does Lamar go out there and do? Turn the ball over. Yes, his wide receiver dropped the ball after he led a game-winning tying opportunity. But at the end of the day, the turnovers is what hurt them. I believe he was doing too much. I believe if he just limited, his aspect of trying to dominate the game and make plays beyond what was necessary, it would have prevented turnovers. They would have won easily by 2 to 3 touchdowns, and they would be moving on to the AFC Conference Championship game. It didn't happen. It is what it is. I expected that, but I really did hope and wish he won. So next year, I'm still rooting for him, but I really believe he has to do less for them to win when it comes down to the playoffs.
I hear you. You done? You done?
Yes.
Another prophetic thing I remember you saying was first downs. First downs usually tells you who's going to win a football game. Am I right or am I wrong?
Yes, that's obvious.
Do you know who had the most first downs in that game?
Is this a hypothetical question?
No, this is the Bills or Ravens. Do you know who had the most first downs in that game?
I do not know. I would assume you're asking because the Ravens did.
Ravens had the most first downs. The Ravens almost outgained the Bills by 200 yards.
It doesn't matter.
Hold on. Let me finish saying. At what point in the second half did Lamar Jackson do too much?
At what point in the second half did he do too much?
Specifically speaking about the second half of the game, at what point did he do too much?
So you just want to know about the second half, not the game.
Right now, I do. Right now, I just want to know about the second
half. I couldn't tell you.
Second half, he played damn near perfectly. He didn't do anything wrong. I've never been more disappointed and let down back to back by one player that I like in my life besides Lamar Jackson. To your point, in the first half, he was doing too much in the sense he just did something dumb. It wasn't like he was in that first interception. He wasn't trying to do anything. He said down, said height, looked, and just threw the ball in the air for no reason at all. It wasn't like the defender made a play on the ball. He overthrew his receiver, and the ball went directly to the safety or the cornerback. The second turnover, the fumble, he gets a bad snap. He comes out in the mix a few things before the game. He said, this is my first time playing the game this cold, which didn't make me feel good. Then he says, The reason I usually do so bad in this game because I be too turned up. I be too anxious. And you let me turn the ball over. He said to him, like, why are you saying that? And he come out and do what he did. So it just showed the same thing. Like, it's something going on in his head. Well, he's too anxious in these games. You can't blame the play calling this year. I can kind of say something about the defense. Zay Flowers being out hurt him. But once again, I mean, I can't even disagree with you. Lamar Jackson, those turnovers screwed them, especially the ones by Mark Andrews. It was a case of the Ravens beating themselves. You know that they did not punt all game. So they literally beat themselves. The only time that the Bills stopped them was when they beat themselves. That's terrible. Josh Allen didn't outplay them. Patrick Mahomes didn't outplay him last year. He outplayed both of these guys, and he goes out here and loses again. He has two great teams. I think he's going to eventually win the Super Bowl, but it's like you're never going to catch Pat Mahomes. It's looking like he's going to be Peyton Manning to Pat Mahomes, Tom Brady. Pat Mahomes has not really been blowing my mind with anything he's been doing these last 3 to 4 years. He just makes the right play when he needs to make the right play. The coach and everybody just does what they're supposed to do, and they win the game as a team. The defense don't even do what they're supposed to do for the Ravens. They don't create turnovers. They don't get sacks. They don't make it uncomfortable for the quarterback. It's just like, yo, man, what is it going to take for y'all to finally break through? And it has really ruined my weekend. We're going live next week. I don't even want to do it because I do not want to see anything besides Lamar Jackson and Pat Mahomes. And once again, I would not be able to see it. He doesn't need anything else. He doesn't. The team needs a pass rusher. He doesn't need anything. He don't need no receivers. I don't hear none of that stuff. He don't need no extra blocking. He's got to get his head out his ass. Simple and plain, man. Simple and plain. So
yeah, I mean, he said it better than I articulated it because it's his own words. But that's exactly what I mean by what I'm saying, right? Like he's doing too much. And it's a mental thing, right? It's just thinking you have to go above and beyond versus just being calm, cool, and collected and approaching the game the same way you approach it during the regular season because he's capable. That's why I want it so much for him. I hope so much that he does win because I can see the intensity, but it just takes him to another place from a pressure standpoint to where it's like, all right, I gotta do it or I gotta make it happen versus just letting the game play out and making the right plays because they're dominant, right? But, oh, well, another year, another loss, another season of having to come back and write the same story and hopefully another ending. You know, I know people are going to try to kill him in the media and just keep balling, bro. But just figure out a way when it comes down to that pressure moment. Just calming your nerves in some way, some form, some fashion, and just playing within the means of the game, man, and you'll win.
He Peyton Manning. Right now he's Peyton Manning, man. Wherever anybody has Peyton Manning ranked, he's Peyton Manning right now. Like this is the same stuff he was doing at the beginning of his career, looking much worse. When I add, so that's my whole thing though. When it gets down to how people be talking about him in comparison to everyone else, I'm like, yo, if you have Peyton Manning as a top 5 quarterback in the league, just don't forget how he started out, and it was much worse than Lamar Jackson. So
before we transfer to the Chiefs versus Texans, what's your take on how this will impact his legacy? And I do believe I heard you say you think he will win a championship.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I just said. Is he Peyton Manning? It's the same. Peyton Manning was doing the same exact thing. Take him 8-9 years to finally break through. He was having terrible playoffs. Terrible. He had dominated the regular season, win the MVP award, and come out and get beat 41-0 to Chad Pennington at home. People forget stuff like that because we were a lot younger, but I don't forget it. He was getting bounced out to Tom Brady left and right. He was losing to Steve McNair and the Titans, the same team that he losing to. He losing to the Titans. So I know eventually, like people saying, he gonna win one? It's just, are you gonna catch Pat Mahomes? That's the thing. Because in my opinion, most people will tell you that Peyton Manning is a better quarterback than Tom Brady. but he's not a better all around legacy wise. They're gonna tell you Tom Brady to go because he got those 7 championships and he beat Peyton Manning on the way to him. These last 3 to 4 years, Lamar Jackson has outplayed Pat Mahomes. Pat Mahomes this year had a very average season. That team is a team that knows how to win. They just like the Patriots was. The defense know how to play when it's time to play. The coach don't do nothing stupid. And Pat Mahomes makes the right plays. He don't turn the ball over. And then you got people as you transition the text, and they just leave open his best receiver the whole game. But like I said, I think right now he the best quarterback in the game up into the playoffs, and then Pat Mahomes takes the reins.
Legacy wise, he's still in good position, but right now,
I mean, think about it in proper context. In this era, everybody's in the same boat except Pat Mahomes. Everybody we talk about is in the same exact boat, from Joe Burrow to what's the guy named Josh Allen and Justin Herbert. What's the Eagles? Jalen Hurts. Everybody. No one has won. It's only him. I think the thing now is it's a lot of competition. You got Jaden Daniels, who has the possibility of going as a rookie and winning. I believe they could win it. You know what I'm saying? I wouldn't be surprised if they win it. You know what I'm saying? Like, man, he's playing amazing.
You crazy. I'm gonna play this tape. I'm gonna play it.
Play it,
man. You just switching up.
No, I'm not. No, I'm not. Play it.
Anyway, let's focus on Pat Mahomes, right? So the Chiefs played the Texans. What did you expect from this game, as you clearly are downplaying the impact of Patrick Mahomes, calling it an average season? What did you think about this game and how it turned out?
Okay, well, we're going to go first to first two. Let's talk about your first point, him having an average season. This is Pat Mahomes. Pat Mahomes threw 26 touchdowns and 11 interceptions. By Pat Mahomes standards, that is an average season. Last year, he threw 27 touchdowns and 14 interceptions. That is an average season. During his top years, he threw 50 touchdowns and 12 interceptions. 41 touchdowns, 12 interceptions. 38 touchdowns. This is his career. 6 interceptions, 26 touchdowns, 5 interceptions, and 37 and 13. So when you go from that to 27 and 14 and then 26 and 11, that is an average season. I don't know how you call that. Yesterday, Pat Mahomes was 16 for 25 for 177 yards and a touchdown. CJ Stroud was 19 for 28 with 245. So no turnovers either way. He ran the ball well. CJ Stroud looked like the best quarterback on the field when they played Saturday. But CJ Stroud doesn't have any of his players wide. He doesn't have any of his players wide open. Travis Kelce's open the entire game. So all Pat Mahomes doing is hiking the ball and throwing it to him wide open. There's nothing Pat Mahomes did in that game to make me say, oh, that's Pat Mahomes. Oh, that's the greatness. If anything, it was the Chiefs. It was a person who's an unsung hero on that team being Chris Jones on the defense. He make plays and changes the entire trajectory of that team. Every year he does something that makes you be like, this is why they winning. This is why I told you they should really pick Steve Spagnuolo. He wasn't 65 years old. Out of all the quarterbacks, out of all the coaches we talked about last week, Johnson to Aaron Glenn and Flores, he's the one who's coaching, played a big role in that team winning yesterday. But he started sending that blitz, that zero blitz. CJ Stroud, he couldn't do nothing about it. Pat Mahomes did not. He did what Pat Mahomes does. He wins. The Chiefs did what they're supposed to do. The Chiefs won. You know what I'm saying? They kind of like the Warriors. You know Steph Curry the lead dog, but Steph Curry don't always come through in the clutch. And Andre Iguodala win the MVP. You know what I'm saying? KD gonna win the MVPs, and Steph Curry get one, but he's a top 5 player in the league in some type of way. Weird talking, but same thing. Pat Mahomes. Pat Mahomes ain't wowed me at all, but he won. Can't take nothing away from him. It was a clean game. I don't think it was even any turnovers really in that game. Bad some penalties was called on him. That kind of some phantom calls. But yeah, no turnovers, 8 penalties for 82 yards. That'll get you. Pat Mahomes was 2 for 5 and 2 for 5 in the red zone. Nothing to be impressed about. Another game in which the losing team had more first downs. It's just the Chiefs, man.
Yeah, I really don't understand any of your points, right? Like,
it's not any point. I'm not giving the point. I'm just breaking down what happened on the field. Just Pat Mahomes didn't. Wow.
Yeah.
He didn't do anything.
Yeah. So I hear wow. I hear, he threw 50 touchdowns this year, 6 interceptions. But then on the flip side of here, he won. He made the right plays. He didn't turn the ball over. To me, that's the wow factor. Like, that is the wow factor. Winning is the wow factor. Not turning the ball over is the wow factor. Making the right plays is the wow factor, right? So if you talk about the years he threw 50 touchdowns, were any of those years with Tyreek Hill?
I think that was the first year.
So the last 2 years, the last couple of years, you said he threw like 20 touchdowns and a handful of interceptions.
Handful. 14 interceptions ain't no handful, my man. He ain't no handful. That's a lot of interceptions. 14 is a lot.
A dozen interceptions, right?
A dozen is 12. He threw 14.
More than a dozen interceptions. Who won the Super Bowl that year?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. What about the year before that? Oh, so you're telling me a man that throws more than a dozen touchdowns or interceptions, 24 touchdowns, loses Tyreek Hill in the midst of that, right? So you don't have your number one wide receiver, who's clearly one of the best receivers in the league, right? Could take a 5-yard slant pattern and turn that into an 80, 90-yard touchdown, right? Loses that weapon, proceeds to win the Super Bowl. I believe Juju Smith-Schuster was one of his top go-to wide receivers, right? Then you come the next year.
Who was his number one target?
I would say Rashee Rice, who's not even playing, right?
Who was his number one receiving target?
Who
was Pat Mahomes' number one receiving target?
The guy out of Texas that they drafted? I don't know.
No, so you got to
know about Travis Kelce?
That's the number one receiver. He's there.
He's not a wide receiver.
He is the number one receiving target. He is second behind Jerry Rice in playoff receiving yards, touchdowns. He's a receiver.
Yeah, that's a receiver. He's the number one receiver target. Yeah, but that's fine. But you're saying the wow factor, right? Like Travis Kelce is running 5, 10-yard curl patterns right in the middle of the field, or 5-yard out, or a little dinky dunk pass. So if you're saying he's the number one wide receiver, then you're just backing up the point that he's not going to wow you with 200-300 yards passing, right? It's going to be 120 yards, 150 yards if he's passing it. What do you mean?
I'm not understanding your point. Go ahead.
Well, my point is this. You said it's an average year, and I'm saying an average year is producing back-to-back championships and now approaching a third championship, right? So I'm just trying to understand what people's gripe is about saying, hey, this was an average year. He's not wowing, but the man is literally making the right play. He's making the right play. He's moving the ball down the field when it counts. He's winning your team the game and putting yourself in a position to compete for a championship. Ask any other quarterback who's wowing you, right? Who wouldn't want to be in that position? So I just see it differently as far as the wow factor. Like, man, get me the first down, get me the touchdown, get me the game winner, put me in position to win the championship. And that's what's wowing me.
I'm going to challenge one of your theories real quick. We're going to throw something else in because the fans don't know about you and your fandom, right? You said something. You said wow. You said the wowing to you is winning, right? But then when we texting, you would tell me that, going to 11 championships and losing 7 of them is more impressive than going to 6 and winning 6. So at what point does winning really matter, or does it only really matter when you're a fan?
See, you want to go into a LeBron versus Michael
You
Jordan
didn't have to
debate.
name
I'm
that.
not doing that. I'm not doing that right now.
No. You didn't have to say that. The fans would be smart to know what I'm talking about. They
I'm
know.
not doing
But
that right
you
now.
say winning is wow for Pat Mahomes, but then winning isn't wow when it comes to Michael Jordan. I just
I'm
want
not getting
to put
into
that
a
out there.
Michael Jordan and LeBron debate with you right now.
Nah, I just want to put that out there. You
Put
are
it
talking.
out there. We'll
That's on the
talk
tape.
about that. We'll talk
That's
about
on the
that.
tape.
Patrick Mahomes is a winner. Wow. He's getting it done. I didn't expect much from the Texans, especially without his main weapons. I think CJ Stroud is in a position to win a championship. Him and Jaden Daniels are on the same level to me. And I believe that can be the threat to Lamar Jackson if he doesn't take the approach of, hey, let me do less. Let me calm down. Let me figure out how to just win this game, not turn the ball over and continue to just move on to the next round versus going home early every year. So I expected the Chiefs to win. I expect them to be in a championship. I expect them to win. So I don't have much else to say about the Chiefs versus Texans.
You also just admitted that the Texans are going to forever be dominating in the AFC South as well, as based on what you just said about CJ Stroud. But go ahead.
Yes. So we have the Rams versus the Eagles, right? So last week I brought up, the fact that the Rams, I didn't even realize they made the playoffs. So shout out to the Rams. But for them to be in this position to represent the city of LA, I thought that was super dope. We talked about the opportunity to represent, I believe, which was a top 3 storyline, which would have been golf versus um, Stafford. Neither one of them got past the divisional round. I didn't expect the Rams to, but it would have been a great story. I think what stands out the most to me about the Eagles is the running back. You got Saquon Barkley. I literally believe this year is a representation or reintroducing the value of the running back, right? They devalued that position so much over the past couple of years. Derrick Henry and specifically Saquon Barkley are showing you the value of a running back, and not just a running back, but literally the best and top tier running backs in the league. To be able to break off multiple 40, 50, 60 plus yard runs, that's amazing to see. It's crushing to the defense. He's somebody you can just hand the ball off and create that threat when you have a running quarterback as well, who's capable of doing a little tush push to get you to 1 and 2 yards if you need it. They do have top tier wide receivers. They have a top tier tight end. They really have a great offense. I don't remember the running back's name who comes in after him too, number 14. I can't think of his name at the second, but even him, like, he's just a baller. He reminds me of not Brian Westbrook. I'm not going to get ahead of myself and say that. Gainwell, yes. Shout out to him, man. Like, he really comes in the game and he gets positive yardage, right? Whether it's catching it out the backfield, whether it's running it up the middle, whether it's the play action, whatever it is, like, he produces when he comes in the game, giving Saquon even that breather. And then that allows Saquon to come in and do what he always been doing with the Giants. And now just taking it to the next level. So I'm rooting for them. I really like what they have going on long term. I don't know what their team will look like moving forward, but I think this will be a great opportunity for the rematch that I've been calling, Chiefs versus the Eagles. I think it'll be a great game. But you got to make it past the conference round first. But they did their part this weekend in the divisional round.
2 things. We got to tighten up because the storyline me and you both was hyped about Rams in Detroit. It happened last year. And it was like one of the best games in the playoffs. It was Jared Goff versus Matthew Stafford in the playoffs, and I think the Lions won by 1 point. So I was like, we were just talking crazy about this, and it happened last year. So that was crazy to me that we missed that. But that game that was a football game. That's what I was like in the snow. It's the reason why I don't like all these domes and I don't like all this open and shut stadium, man. Like, I like the elements playing a factor. And both of the teams where I feel like the elements affected the Ravens and the Rams, it was home field advantage took over and assisted the team with the better record. So I like seeing that. That was a great game, man. Yeah, Saquon Barkley did his thing, breaking off big run after big. I stepped away for a minute. I come back. It was a 70-yard touchdown here. I missed it. I couldn't even believe my eyes, man. How quick that was going. Other than that, man, I really it was a good clean game. Wasn't too much controversy. It wasn't nothing I think affected anyone's legacy. Matthew Stafford, nobody, nothing like that. If anything, maybe Saquon Barkley. You know what I'm saying? It's good. Like you mentioned, it's good to see him get his due. It shows how terrible franchises can make good players look bad. Trevor Lawrence, but hopefully he can keep his momentum going, and they beat the Redskins, and maybe it was like you said. I'm leaning toward that as a rematch as well. So I wouldn't surprise me to see who Washington win the game or not. But it's not much there, man. Like I said, good game. Everybody played the way they're supposed to play. Jalen Hurts, I think he kind of does what you say Lamar should do, but the pressure's being lifted off him because he doesn't have to be the guy, right? He doesn't have to. Saquon Barkley breaking off 70 and 80-yard runs, which if Derrick Henry was doing that yesterday, it definitely would have been a different story as well. Not to take anything away from Derrick Henry, I'm just saying the best player on that offense clearly is Saquon Barkley, and he played like it. You know what I'm saying? So shout out to Saquon Barkley, shout out to the Rams. I like seeing them represent the fire department, as they did their thing. So that's what it is, man. We can go to Washington, Detroit.
Yeah, I'll let you take this one because I really just want to focus on what I brought up last week with Jaden Daniels.
Go ahead. What did you bring up?
Yeah, so what I spoke to is that was a team to watch, the Washington Commanders. I was like, man, this is a team you want to pay attention to. And the number one reason why was because of the quarterback. Mm-hmm. And when I highlighted that, I spoke specifically to his mindset. Now, I did some research and I was just speaking on what I saw, right? So what I was seeing was a quarterback who could throw the ball with accuracy, right? And he had the mindset as a rookie, right? He's a rookie coming into the league, and he was able to lead his team, a team that, typically wasn't really operating. They had a lot of drama from their owner, Daniel Snyder, right? They had a lot of drama internally with HR and all types of stuff going on, right? So they moved past that situation. They got new ownership in there. They got the Magic Johnsons of the world in there. They really started to make these moves from a front office perspective, and they identified somebody who meshed well with that, and that's Jaden Daniels, right? A Heisman Trophy winner. So this individual, right, I highlighted, is able to pick up first downs with his legs, avoid key hits, throw accurate passes, and he just has his mindset of a winner, right? Winning the Heisman Trophy. All right, cool. Well, why is that? What's helped with that? So I did some research. I didn't know. So I guess a company out of Germany, a VR virtual reality company, was on the brink of, going bankrupt, and they needed another avenue, right? They started with soccer football, right? Transitioned into the actual American football. And at LSU, the trainers implemented it with Jaden Daniels after he transferred from Arizona State. So he comes into the LSU program, and around week 3, what they started doing is actually let him do reps via virtual reality. So he's actually starting to take an additional 200 to 300 reps on the defenses, or they're playing using their playbook against defenses, so he can now read and react virtually. So what did this do? This eliminated risk, because he did it during a time where he had a concussion and he actually couldn't practice. But he was able to get those reps in with the virtual reality to where when he stepped onto the field, he saw things faster. And why is that? During the virtual reality, they would speed up the action 1.75 times the actual normal speed. So by the time they actually slowed it down to normal play speed, he felt like they had slowed it down to slow motion because he was reading and reacting so quickly now due to the reps from the virtual reality. So now you transition somebody who has accuracy. You have transition somebody who has the mindset to compete. Transition someone who has the ability to actually run and maneuver in the pocket, right? And you take that onto the field and you say, all right, I've seen this play. I've seen this defense. I've seen how they react. I've seen how they pressure and how they blitz 1.75 times the actual normal speed that I'm going to see it on game day. So now when I step onto the field, everything is slowed down to a tremendous level.
Mm-hmm.
So what happened when he went to the pros? The Commanders invested in the same technology. So that's somebody who was able to transition fluidly from LSU, winning the Heisman, transition into a quality team where he had receivers, he has a tight end, he has running backs, he has a defense, right? He has a coach that's won a Super Bowl, and they have the same setup to where he can go in and get these extra reps, take advantage of the technology and slow the game down to a place to where now he can produce 10, 12 win season, transition into the NFL playoffs. And now he's beating teams considered to be the number one contender to the Detroit Lions. So I didn't realize this prior to my observation of his mindset and his ability to put yourself in a position to win the game. And that's transitioned greatly. So I see them as a surprise team. I won't be surprised if they win.
Not to me, that's some ESPN level research and reporting you just did. Because I ain't heard that from nobody. And that makes a lot of sense. You know what I'm saying? Which is different coming from you. That makes a lot of sense. I give you credit there, man. I can see how that works. Because he do get that ball out quick. It don't take him much to get it out, man. And he's the exact reason why I'm telling you I wouldn't be surprised, because this is ridiculous. Like, I was blown away by CJ Stroud last year, but what he doing, this dude hiking the ball, and besides getting too technical, just appreciating what he doing. Yeah, he getting out quick. His own money is on point. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, salute to Jaden Daniels, salute to you for that. That's some good information I ain't heard from nowhere, and that's very telling, because I'm pretty sure if Dan Snyder was the owner, he wouldn't invest in the goddamn thing. So yeah, man. Like I said, shout out to Jaden Daniels, man. It's I feel bad for the Lions. I was rooting for the same way you said you were rooting for Lamar Jackson. We all was. You want to see Detroit win, man. Just
why?
Like, huh?
Why?
Because Detroit Lions have had two of the best players at their position of all time. They are famous. I think that the Lions are more famous for causing players to retire early than anything else. They haven't won a Super Bowl. They haven't went to the Super Bowl. They're one of the oldest franchises in the NFL.
So for our audience, right? So just in case they're unaware, they're like, all right, I hear you say the Detroit Lions, they're famous for having top players retire. Who are these players you're referring to?
Barry Sanders and Megatron. Barry Sanders and Megatron for the, the young people might know who Barry Sanders is, but yeah, Barry Sanders and Megatron, man. So that's what they more known for. You hear me talk about all the time. Barry Sanders, why you retired? Barry Sanders. I seen Beast Mode and the other guy, whatever I forget the name of his fullback. Whatever his name is. They were just interviewing him. I just seen Megatron being interviewed. He was saying he had to be high all the time because his body was in so much pain from getting hit from getting the ball so much. You know what I'm saying? So, man, I like the coach, man. I like the organization. I like the turnaround. I like to see teams turn around and get some success who have never had success.
Michael Robinson,
yeah. Shout out to Michael Robinson. Him and Beast Mode on their podcast. I said I like that coach, man. I said he a real coach, a real fiery coach. Remind me of Coach Lou, like the way he be getting down. We gotta do that too, man. We gotta add some stories, packs and stories about Coach Lou in here, man, because that was a character right there.
We gotta get him on the show.
Yeah, I guess. But yeah, man, I sit there and say, so here we go. We got conference championship, man, coming up. For the record, we got Chiefs, Bills, Eagles, Commanders. Where you going?
I mean, I said it last.
I know you're going. Yeah, go ahead.
So, we got the Chiefs, we got the Bills. We've seen this story over and over and over. I think the pressure will mount. You know what I'm saying? Like, Josh Allen I like him. He is a great quarterback. I would pick him if I had to, top 5, have him lead and run my team, put him in position to win. But when it comes to Patrick Mahomes, you can have a perfect game. He had a perfect game not a couple of years ago when it was like a shootout, right? 41-42. I don't remember specifically, but he left 13 seconds on the clock. And that was too much to give to Patrick Mahomes. They get the ball, they throw a couple patterns to Tyreek Hill, they get in field goal position, they tie it up, they go to overtime, they get the ball first, the game is over. I don't know if it'll I don't see a shootout this game. They're in Cincinnati, or not Cincinnati. They're going to be in Kansas City. It's about to snow here in North Carolina all week, so I'm sure it's going to be snowing in Kansas City. So it's not going to be a shootout as far as just throwing the ball up and down the field. It'll be a slow game. They'll have to run it, do some trick passes. Like you said, Kelsey's a number one wide receiver. So a couple dink dunk passes here and there. They'll kick a couple field goals and win the game and get out of there. So unfortunately, Josh Allen will have to run into that beast of Patrick Mahomes, the average, non-wow factor Patrick Mahomes, but they'll win the game. They'll get up out of there and they'll go represent the AFC. When we think about Washington versus Philly, to me, it's the same team. Same team to me. You got the quarterbacks who mirror each other. You have number one wide receivers and capable 1B wide receivers on the team. You have capable tight ends. Zach Ertz used to be a former Philadelphia Eagle. He's a great tight end, a little on the back end side of his career, but from across the board, they match up very well. The deciding factor to me, we talked about already. I think he should get MVP consideration, but Saquon Barkley, I believe, will be the difference. Now, they do have a great defense in Washington, right? Led by Bobby Wagner. A lot of people sleep on him, but that's the leader of the Legion of Boom. He moved around to the Rams, and then he found a little place here with Dan Quinn when you think about the Washington Redskins. And I think that's a big piece on that defense for him to be that leader and that vocal command, when it comes down to the playoffs time. They snuck in Marshawn Lattimore, who is a top-tier cornerback. He's been quiet, right? You don't hear about him as much as you did on the Saints, but that's a big pickup to have in the playoffs at this time. So, again, I think Washington is really a team not to be slept on, man. I really see them making some moves, but I do think it ends here with the Philadelphia Eagles. They're equally matched. They have a great quarterback, and Saquon Barkley, I believe, will be the difference in this game. So I look forward to watching this one specifically, but I do see it just being a rematch of the Eagles versus the Chiefs, and the Chiefs winning the Super Bowl. I'll say it again.
I'm going. I'm gonna say the same thing.
Of course.
The Chiefs' take is different. I sit there and say, to me, it's not a Pat Mahomes thing. It's a team thing. I think the defense is going to be the reason why they win this game, not necessarily Pat Mahomes. I just think that Steve Spagnuolo, who I, once again, said should be the Jaguars coach if we go on defense, is going to scheme up Josh Allen and make him get rid of the ball. I think him not having no dynamic weapons might come out and hurt him for real this game because he going to send that blitz from to the middle and on the outside, which is going to make Josh Allen have to step up and run up the middle, and he got to avoid Chris Jones. I think that they'll do a good job of containing the Chiefs' offense. I think that this is the game that they were ready for. I do believe, like you said, that home feeling that in the inclement weather, although they're in Buffalo, but most players will tell you the hardest place to play at is Kansas City. They say the way the stadium's shaped and the sound and the noise on top of the snow, and then Pat Mahomes do scare you. You know what I'm saying? He is going to scare people, him being over there. I think it'll be big for Josh Allen if he overcome, but I don't think he's going to do it. I think the running game will have a lot to say about it for the Chiefs as well. I told you, man, it's a team. I think that's just a great total team. It's a total team effort led by Pat Mahomes and Andy Reid. I expect them to come out. The NFC, man, is trickier to pick because they division rivals, so they know each other. They know it's not like we only saw you one time we ain't seen. They know what's coming. And the last time they played, that's when Daniels, man, Jaden Daniels lit them up. He had like 5 touchdowns and 4 fouls. He lit them up last time. So I think for the Eagles to win this game, it's gonna have to be run the ball with the sense of keeping the ball out of Jaden Daniels' hands. I think he gonna light them up. Even though the Eagles are the number one defense in the NFL, I think he got their number. And honestly, talking about VR and everything, more power to him. But man, he lit them up something decent in like a shootout last time. And I don't like Jalen Hurts in a shootout with any quarterback. I don't like him having to go back and forth. He makes terrible decisions sometimes. So I do seeing the Eagles pulling out behind the legs in the ground game of Saquon Barkley. I really don't see them even forcing Jaden Daniels into no intermittent mistakes. I think the formula for success is get up and run that ball early. That's all I think it's going to be. You know.
Which game are you most interested in? NFC or the AFC?
Man, it's hard to even say. I think, but I guess I'm gonna say just on the path of greatness type vibes to see Pat Mahomes go for and the Eagles go for and the Chiefs go for a three-peat. That may be the game, you know, and because of the history, you know, it's history involved. Whereas Jaden Daniels is a rookie, he knew with not really much history. So I'll probably go to the AFC game. Okay. This is a legacy game. This is another one of them guys, like I said, right up under Pat Mahomes. Josh Allen ain't done nothing either at the end of the day. So if he loses this game, if he loses in the fashion he did a couple years ago where he did everything and the defense let him down, he going to feel the same way about that Lamar Jackson feel right now. You know what I'm saying? Because he in the same boat. They came out in the same draft class and nobody can beat Pat Mahomes. So,
well, we're gonna go live. You know what I'm saying? I would love the 3:00 game is Eagles versus Washington, and then 6:30 is the Chiefs versus the Bills. So worst case, we can definitely catch the end of the first game going live into the second game.
Yeah, I'll be here. I'll be right here. I ain't going nowhere.
10-4. Yeah, I'll be tapped in to those games 100%. So I look forward to that next week. So that's the conference championships. We'll see what happens. Right now, I don't know what the score is, but college is going on right now. Any update on the score?
It's another Notre Dame don't deserve to be here. Put them in the car. They're getting beat again, 31-15. It's not close. Every time they in the national championship, they get the brakes beat off of them. And I'm really tired of seeing them guys even make it to championship games because they can play independent. Don't got to see the same gauntlet of teams that everybody else got to see. So it's nothing unsuspected, man. You know, everybody was running for, you know, he gets a black coach for Notre Dame. They want to see him win, but look, man, it's Notre Dame. They need to stop it, man. They need to stop it. 31-15, almost in the third quarter.
So to me, it really speaks to the criticism. So Ryan Day, right? He is the coach of Ohio State. Mm. And when you think about Ohio State, I mean, powerhouse, right? Top athletes, top everything. So it is understandable the pushback, the feedback that he gets by not winning championships, right? So the last one they won was with Urban Meyer. I don't recall the year, but the next up, right? The next at the helm was Ryan Day, who took over. And I mean, he's had talent after talent after talent after talent after talent, but they couldn't get it done. So when you think about last year, right, them losing to Michigan State past 2 years, if I'm not mistaken, and then Michigan State actually winning the championship, John Harbaugh, if I'm getting the Harbaugh right, Jim Harbaugh winning the championship and then moving on to the NFL, a lot of pressure was on Ryan Day to get it done with Ohio State. I'm usually up to par with their roster, but I honestly don't know their roster this year. I don't really know their quarterback. I couldn't tell you the running back.
They got one of the best wide receivers I've seen. This dude is like Julio Jones. It's a wide receiver they got named Jeremiah Smith. He's a freshman. This dude, if you see him right now, you see how big this dude is. He's a freshman. He's 6'3", 215 from Miami. On the season, he had 71 catches and 14 touchdowns. This dude is a beast. He is an absolute beast. He had like 200 yards or something almost in the first half or something like that in one of the other playoff games. He's a beast.
Okay.
So
yeah, I'm not familiar with their roster how it normally would be. So I'm actually quite surprised, but also happy that they made it this far. Now, you speaking that they have a freshman. All right, so now we're talking about potentially running the tables. Could they run it back to back? You know, and I'm sure they're going to keep elevating and adding new talent.
my
So
bad. He had seven catches for 187 yards and 2 touchdowns against Oregon in the playoff game, and then 6 for 103 and 2 touchdowns against Tennessee in the playoff game.
okay. Yeah, I mean, he sounds legit, a freshman. So that'll be interesting to see how he grows and develops as he gets another season under his belt. Look like they starting off with, you know what I'm saying, a championship to start his freshman year. I don't know who the quarterback is. I really don't. So I'm just kind of shocked, honestly, that they made it this far, given that talent they've had in the past. He's Ryan Day, specifically the coach, they've been falling short, but it'll be a great opportunity. I know Maurice Clarett speaks highly of him and his coaching ability. Again, he's been producing high level talent, so it's just good to see them finally finish. You know,
Will Howard, the quarterback, he a senior. He been there the last 2 or 3 years. He a senior.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if he getting drafted.
I don't. Yeah,
Yeah,
he got the measurables. I say I'm a 6'4", 235. He a prototypical old school quarterback. I don't know if he can move like that or not. But
he getting the job done. He getting the
right.
job done in college. But yeah, I'm not familiar with their team this year. Really, I only really paid attention to Colorado, I guess, because Florida, they ain't doing nothing. Florida State fell off the map. I don't know what happened with them. UM, you know, I try to represent for the Florida schools. FAU, UCF, they wasn't doing too much. So yeah, Florida was just in a nutshell this year.
You watch it for the Dion hype.
Yeah, so I just kept up with, you know, Colorado. That was typically the games I watch when it comes down to college. Yeah, I guess it's the hype, man. I wanted to see what they was doing.
Speaking of Dion, I want to get your take on have you been hearing what's going on with him and that they've been sharing about him trying to direct Shedeur's career. What do you think about that?
So it's interesting. Like I can understand high school, I can understand college to a degree. The NFL seems a little different. At the same time, it seems like a common theme nowadays with player empowerment, coach empowerment. You know, when you think about, at least from a outside looking in, how they say how Giannis was able to get his brother on the team, then you see how LeBron was able to make moves to get his son into the NBA, so to speak. Same concept with Dion, like he's a formidable superstar, right? And he's producing a marketable asset. So you think about the Dallas Cowboys, you know, Jerry Jones and his mindset, bringing back a former player, bringing back somebody who has star power, bringing back somebody who you know has a competitive edge and wants to win. All right, what do we got to do to make this happen? I got to bring his sons to play. All right, cool. Is that a losing proposition? No, right? Like his son is capable of playing quarterback. His other son is capable of playing safety. He likes to hit. He'll find a ball. He can develop. I've seen worse, right? So I don't think it's a losing proposition. I think it's a winning proposition. It can enhance the team. Dion seems to enhance anything or everywhere he goes.
So they considering him coaching the Cowboys?
From what I've seen, right?
Wow.
They've had the discussions.
Okay.
So with that being said, will it happen? I don't know. Like there's a lot that goes into the NFL and trades and all types of stuff that takes place that that can be out of your control. But again, from my understanding, he said he would only coach in the NFL if he can coach both his sons. So with that being said, I don't believe he's going to the NFL. And I think he owes it to me how I feel about college. Like when you set those promises and you want to stand on your word, as long as he informed those kids, you know what I'm saying, the young men coming to that school making those life decisions, like, hey, this is what possibly could happen. All right, cool. But if the expectation, like I believe they got the number one quarterback that flipped schools and is coming to Colorado, I believe if you have talent like that coming, the intention is to actually stay and make things happen. So I won't be surprised if he decides to go to Dallas or anywhere in the NFL where he can coach his sons. It'll be a unique moment. I don't know if
Speaking
I've
more
seen
to the
that,
point,
but yeah.
I'm speaking more to the point of him saying he's not going to let his son play this anywhere. Like he basically saying, do you think Deion will let his son get drafted by the Jaguars?
If it made sense.
Because that's what he's saying. What he's saying is he's saying, I'm not going to let certain teams pick him. He's saying if they try to pick him, he ain't gonna play. That's pretty what he's saying right now.
Yeah. So do I believe that's possible? Yeah, I believe that's a higher probability versus what I was just speaking to as far as the Dallas opportunity. Do I believe if the Jaguars or I don't know, what's another team that just,
Cincinnati. Cleveland.
Yeah, the Cleveland Browns and no offense, right? Because I'm from Jacksonville, Charlotte. It just depends, right? It just depends on the situation. But do I believe they have enough pull, enough understanding, enough connections, enough power to say, hey, if we get drafted here and we don't want to be drafted there, we'll make it to where we can get shipped somewhere else? Yeah, we've seen that happen, right? When it comes down to the Mannings.
Right. That's what I want to do, man, because I'm seeing some people talk about this, and I'm cool with Deion and everything. I be tired of people always trying to make somebody something bigger than what it is. Like, yo, this happened with Eli Manning, man. Like his dad, this guy has insider information on who some of these teams are, who the owners are, the inner works of some of these teams. So what he can do, everybody can't do. You know what I'm saying? So that's my whole thing with it. I think it's smart. I wouldn't want to see Shedeur Sanders in Jacksonville. Sorry.
Tennessee.
I wouldn't even mind him Tennessee. Tennessee has been a competent franchise. Like, I don't want to see him in Cincinnati. I mean, I don't want to see him in Cleveland. I don't want to see him in any of the New York teams, and I don't want to see him in Jacksonville. Anywhere else. Hey, man, he can do it. I think Tennessee would be a good spot for him, actually, because it's not a lot of noise around Nashville. It's just you gonna play football, pretty much. Build a team around you. They just haven't been able to really hit on a quarterback lately. But they done been in the playoffs and championship games and everything. They having a hard time. I kind of want to see him in Las Vegas more than anything. I think that'll set something off. And I think that'll bring Deion too, going to Las Vegas, because I don't think they have a coach right now. I think they fired Antonio Pierce. So I could definitely see Deion coaching just on the show sense of them being in Vegas. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, I see him Las Vegas, Dallas, New York, one of those type of teams, just because of I think they look for the light, right? Like
right.
I think they look for the light. I don't know if specifically Nashville. Dang, my light cut off.
Light. Oh. But yeah, man, that's all I'm saying. I don't want to see him on none of the New York teams. It's a lot different now. Judging quarterbacks coming out than it was when we was younger, because the game has changed so much offensively towards a lot more played like college. Like they don't even really have pro offenses anymore. So I think with the right infrastructure in place, he may be able to be successful anywhere he goes. And we'll just see what happens with Shedeur and Deion, man. People gotta start acting like Deion's some type of savior, man. He ain't. Deion is about getting his. He's about getting his. It's a business. It must be the money. People all got to forget. It's all about the money, man. He let you know that a long time ago. You know what I'm saying? If he come out there and lead them college kids, I said from the moment he took the job at Jackson State, his goal is to get to Florida State or Texas. I said that's his goal. He ain't going to Texas because Sarkisian just got a 7-year extension. So the only thing that made sense for me the entire time was him going to Florida State to supplant Bobby Bowden type time. You know what I'm saying? I ain't believe in nothing else. He ain't saving HBCUs. He's not doing any of that stuff. So
yeah, well, they missed that boat. He took over at Jackson. He got to Colorado, made a difference, and now he on top of the world when it comes to coaching and just the notoriety. So shout out to Dion. We'll see what happens. We'll definitely talk about the NFL draft once it gets here. But let's just tap into the divisional or conference championships this weekend. We're gonna go live. Hopefully some people check us out. We're gonna keep this train rolling. But with that said, we're gonna close out episode 2, and we'll be back next week. Holla at your boys across the bridge.
Peace.
Out.